All right, my featured guest today in the Roqe Studio is an Iranian singer and songwriter who's become a big star of the Iranian pop scene, both inside and outside of the country. She has legions of fans, millions of views, and she's also now based in Canada, where she moved recently. She has been lending her voice to the uprising for freedom in Iran as well. Take a listen to this.
بوم زندگی هر چیز میخواهی بکش زیبا و زشتش پای توست تقدیر را باور نکن تصویر اگر زیبا نبود نقاش خوبی نیستی از نو دوباره رسم کن تصویر را باور نکن خالق تو را شاد آفرید آزاد آزاد آفرید پرواز کن تا آرزو زنجیر را باور نکن.
Little taste of the song Iranian Man, written and dedicated to the uprising for freedom in Iran in recent months. That song was released in late November, featuring the artist Taraneh and my featured guest today in our studio, Satin. Farnaz Maleki, known as Satin, was born and raised in Tehran into an artistic family. She started her music career at the age of 19. She came to major recognition for her work as the vocalist on songs for the popular Iranian TV series Shahrzad. That was in around 2018. Around that time, she left Iran to pursue her music career in freer environs and started working with Radio Javan. She first moved to Turkey for a few years, then recently to Canada. She has since had a number of hits. Her latest single is called Bemuni Baham, and she's playing a number of concerts in Canada over the next month in Toronto, in Ottawa, and in Montreal. But first, right now, Satin joins me in the Roqe Studio. Hello.
Hello. Hi. Thanks for inviting me.
What a pleasure it is to have you here. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you so much. It is a pleasure for me too.
I couldn't find any interviews that you've done in English. Not any long form or big ones anyway. Have you?
We had an attended English interview, but it never got released because of some technicalities that the studio had. I mean, to this day, I don't know what happened.
Right. Well, this is quite an honor then.
No,
it's your first.
The honor is mine. Thank you so much.
First interview, long form interview in English, and which is also curious because normally when I say that, it's because the person doesn't speak English very well, or they've only ever spoken in Persian or something. In your case, not only do you speak English obviously very well, you were an English teacher, yes?
Yeah, I used to be an English teacher for nearly 10 years of my life. Wow.
And did you speak this well when you were in Iran, or is this a new thing that you're...
No, I always try to keep up with a good accent. I watch a lot of films. I've always watched a lot of films and series. I'm like a movie freak, if you may say. Imitating the correct American accent was my number one priority. And then
you don't have the Persian, I am going to a studio.
Never had. No.
Right.
Actually, I don't know what happened. I absolutely have no idea, because there are no classes that teach you the correct accent. I mean, we don't have that necessity when it comes to learning English. Yeah.
But it sounds like you immersed yourself with a lot of Western. I know one of your heroes is Beyonce.
Oh, yes.
And that wouldn't just be from when you've left Iran. That was when you were in Iran as well.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
So you were watching American films or listening to American artists or whatever, and kind of figuring out how to speak.
Living the dream. I was always living the dream, yeah. And the dream was always to live in their lives, experience what they were experiencing, the heroes of my life. I mean, Beyonce is one of many, many heroes that I've always had, yeah.
You have, not that long ago, moved to Canada. And speaking of living the dream, I mean, I don't know if Richmond Hill is considered the dream.
Not really, not yet.
But not that we love Richmond Hill. There's a lot of people listening there. But how are you liking life here? Is it a major adjustment for you from, I mean, Turkey's still in the Middle East, or sort of, I mean, now you're in North America. How has it been for you?
It's been an awesome experience. I mean, like, I've seen some of the locals. They're truly the nicest people ever. I mean, I couldn't believe how nice these people were. I mean, I was like walking. I still am. I mean, I don't get out of the house so much, but when I do, a day doesn't go by that I don't get one compliment from a stranger on the street. And
who recognize you or
no? Absolutely.
They're just randomly complimenting.
No, they're like local Canadians.
What did they say?
Wow, I love your outfit. I love your hair. I love your pants.
Wow.
They're not even interested where I got it from. I mean, like, they're just complimenting me. I was like, wow, these people are nice.
Are they hitting on you? Is it
no,
like
girls?
Oh, really? Just random people say nice things to you?
Once I
Just
actually, yeah, I was pretty shocked myself. Actually, there were two girls passing me by. She just passed and said, "Nice outfit." I was like, What? What are you talking to me?" Yeah, they're that nice. I mean, they don't restrict themselves from being nice.
Right.
Because I always say that, kindness, being nice, it doesn't, it doesn't take much out of your life and energy.
Well, Canadians reputationally are supposed to be nice. That is
They
what
are.
we're famous for. So you
They
would
truly are. They
hope
truly
that that's.
are.
Although I was telling you right before we started recording that you did move to the area of, you're in the greater Toronto area.
Yeah.
You went right to the Persian area.
Yeah.
I would have thought you would move somewhere where, so you're probably, I mean, I don't know if you go to the local kababi or something, but I would imagine you get recognized there a lot more than you would if you lived, say, in downtown Toronto.
Well, I've been recognized many times, mostly when I wasn't wearing any makeup. I should say that. Yeah, I was so embarrassed, and they always wanted to take pictures with me, and I say, "Oh, please, God, don't." Yeah, and IKEA, on the streets, on different places. Yeah, people are so kind. I guess, Iranians here are so, much kinder than the ones that were living in Turkey as well. I'm not saying they were not kind, but they didn't necessarily come forward and say, "Hey, hi, we recognize you," and stuff like that.
But you're going to need to go to IKEA in full makeup from now on.
I think I gotta go with like a mask or something, because I'm so lazy with wearing makeup. I mean,
You don't look
that's a
like, I
fact,
mean, right
Mama.
now, are you wearing a lot of makeup? I don't even.
Well, I am, but thank you so much for not noticing.
Okay. But you seem like you're young. Do you need a lot of makeup?
I don't. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm like both lazy and like I don't feel the need most of the time. But when your fans see you and they want to take pictures, I mean, that picture is gonna talk.
Right. Right. Look what's happened to her.
Yeah,
She
whatever
used to be
happened
so beautiful.
She used
Yeah.
to be a girl. Whatever happened? Why is she now like a boy or something?
I'm going to get to social media and the way
Yeah, sure.
people
Please
talk
don't.
about you. Yeah, well, but let me just stick with the Canada theme for a moment, because you have some shows coming up in Toronto, as I said, in Ottawa and Montreal. You recently played Vancouver. How does it feel, I guess, to be back on stage and to be doing this in Canada now where you live?
It was awesome. I was not expecting this many crowd, and not even to see them singing all my songs on the top of their voice. I mean, the crowd was so wild, and the salon, I mean, the venue was like exploding with the screams and the sound of all my fans. I think there were like 90% all my fans, true fans, and I did not expect that from.
What did you expect?
I don't know. I didn't know that I had this many fans in North America. I mean, that's pretty awesome, I guess.
Yes, when someone, especially someone who's a public figure, who's known, so what it's kind of like, to the reaction you might get amongst Iranians in Iran, who's come from Iran not that long ago, and it's been a few years now, but it's still only 5 years since you left Iran.
Yeah.
I'm always curious what it's like to perform for. Yes, they're Iranians, but they're those who have been living outside of Iran for years.
Yeah.
Is that a different experience somehow?
Actually, I've had the experience of performing in Iran, but back then I wasn't performing my own songs. Nobody knew me with the name of Satin. I was like part of a female band, and we were only performing for female.
Sure.
That might be pretty weird for your listeners, but yeah, that happens in our country. And the crowd was going wild back there too, but I guess, I don't know, they didn't know me per se. They were like, enjoying the moment, maybe the performance or whatever. But, ever since I got on stage with my own name, with my own songs, it was unfortunately not in Iran. And, but the closest experience I got to, experiencing all Iranian fans who were coming from Iran was in one of my performances in Van, Turkey, which is like pretty on the border of Iran. Honestly, I didn't see any difference between the two.
Between that and, say, Vancouver.
And the Vancouver.
Interesting, yeah.
There's one thing that I really love about Iranians. No matter where they go, they don't forget their ethnicity, their traditional behaviors, or
for better or for worse.
I mean, you could say both.
Yes, but I agree with you. It's true. It's actually one of the premises of this show, Satin, which is that we had a hunch when we started this, that Iranians living outside of Iran around the world would actually feel a connection, not just to Iran, but to each other. And it's so true. And we've seen that with the uprising. We've seen that with the way the diaspora, whether it's 100,000 people in Berlin or here in Toronto or whatever, where people came together really feeling Iranian pride.
Yeah.
And that song that we just played off the top there, Iranian Man, it's such a powerful song, and one of a few that you've recorded in the last 7 months or so, along with the uprising in Iran. Another one would be a song called Zan.
We are going to stand with you. Jian, women, life, freedom.
Tell me about how the young women and men of Iran have inspired you during the uprising after the killing of Mahsa Amini.
Well, they've inspired me pretty greatly. I mean, like, I tried not to create any songs in those days, actually, if I want to refer to the correct time. But I it was like anything I would have made, it would have been pretty dark, pretty sad, because the inspiration was all from, the
kids
deaths
dying,
and kids dying, people dying. And I myself suffered a lot being a woman in Iran, as I'm pretty sure that all of your listeners who are Iranian will agree with me that being a woman in Iran has its own challenges, let alone to try to be like an artistic, not to mention a singer, which is forbidden in our country. And I've always had this I don't know how to explain that. I've always had this silent scream in my head when it came. I mean, like, that's the whole story behind Zan. I wrote it myself, and it was all personal experience. I mean, the first verse actually and the chorus is. So I always knew that, someday this anger, because it's not just me who has this anger or this like silent scream in the head. I always knew that someday it would burst out from the people. And but the cruelty, the killings and everything, it was like, I'm not gonna say it was inspiring, it was like shocking mostly for me. And I couldn't create any song that would go anywhere, And the Zan song,
the Zan and Iran.
Zan was from 5 years ago, Yeah, I actually, that was, I guess if I'm not mistaken, that was the last song I made before I left Iran. You could pretty much see how sad I was back
I
then.
want to get into, I'm obviously going to ask you about your story in Iran, but you know, there's a kind of a mantra or something that a lot of people have said in the last few months. A lot of people like me who have said, you know, these kids, when we're talking about a 19-year-old girl in Tabriz or in Shiraz, or a boy in you know, Tehran who's out there on the front lines, some of them who were killed, some of them who were jailed, some of them, there's been this kind of mantra of saying, you know, these people, this new generation are somehow braver than we ever were, you know, in the sense that they really they're approaching this with, I'm willing to give my life for the country, you know.
They have nothing to lose.
They have nothing to lose. You're younger than me. You're a little closer in age to them.
Yeah.
Do you still feel that way? Do you look at the young people of Iran and go, "Wow, as brave as I was being a singer in Iran and all of that, I wouldn't have done that. This is pretty amazing stuff."
I mean, I always tell my friends that thank God I wasn't in Iran back then, because if I was in Iran, I definitely would have been between those people, either being killed or like being imprisoned or whatever. Or if I was lucky, I would have always been on the street yelling at the top of my head, protesting the cruelty that has been going on in our country for many, many years.
And did you feel, some folks have talked about, I mean, it's the term gets used for a number of reasons, but survivor's guilt. I mean, did you feel any guilt in the last few months that you're here and
every day of my life for 5 years, every day, I feel guilty for the fact that I was lucky enough to pursue my dreams. I was lucky enough to not be in the sad and cruel environment that all of my people are. I don't know why, but I don't know why some people don't get the chance that they have to. I mean, I'm like, I don't know what the story of their life is gonna be, but I do feel guilty.
But you understand at the same time that you can be a lot more effective in being a voice.
That's all I've been trying to do. That's all I've been trying to. I mean, before a time that I was like fully recognized by people, all my songs were sad. I mean, like love songs that were like, the content of them were pretty sad. That's who I am. I mean, like, if I'm to create a song, I'm not saying that I'm a sad person, but I'm saying that deep down in my heart, I've been through a lot that has caused my spirit, my soul to like, I cannot create a happy song. Not at all. It will be nonsense. I mean, like, definitely nonsense. I mean, I've created a couple of them, but the area that I'm mostly active, or let's say I have a lot of strength in it, are like sad songs. My manager and all the people that I was influenced by them, they'd say that, you know, Iranian people have already, you know, enough on their plate.
Quite a catalog of sad songs.
Yeah, they are already as sad as it is. So you have to be like a role model for them. You have to be their, you know, the other part that they go to when they want to escape the sadness. So yeah, some years ago, if you told me that Satin, you'd have to like sing Shishash song, as we call it.
Well, your new song Bemuni Baham, that doesn't sound like a sad song to me.
No, it isn't.
So do you feel somehow inauthentic when you're doing that? Does it feel like it's not real somehow?
No. That's not what I mean, sometimes maybe I feel like I'm like a sellout or something. I don't know. That's just me having problems inside my head. But what I'm trying to tell you is that
that's a legitimate feeling. A lot of artists, I mean, that's something. First of all, you're not just a pop singer who's given things to do and, you know, and where. I mean, you write music. You're a musician. I mean, it wouldn't be a surprise if you're always wondering where the line is between, especially if you're going to go into pop music, between being as authentic as you can be and doing the kind of music you need to do to have hit songs, right?
I haven't been doing what I love to do for so long. I mean, all of my songs, I'm not saying I don't love them, but they've been for my people, because they expect me to release happy songs that they can dance to. And so, yeah, if I want to be a popular singer, I have to listen to my audience, right?
Is it really true, though? I mean, I'm just thinking of, I don't know, who are the big, I mean, Adele.
Yeah.
Her songs are not all happy.
Well,
I mean,
she was one of the lucky ones, I guess, that they listened to her, accepted her for whatever the style and music style that she has. Yeah, that is also. I think that's a privilege. That's a singer being lucky.
I get what you mean. I mean, even with this show, we get constantly people writing in or posting and saying, enough with the gamgin, just give us something to. We've had enough of that.
Yeah.
Which, on the one hand, I understand. On the other hand, I think, well, we can't bury our head in the sand. I mean, there's no way to be happy about little Keon being killed or whatever it is, and the reality. Let me ask you about it. Take me back to your own experience in Iran. So you were born and raised in Tehran. The story goes that you're growing up in this artistic family. Both of your parents are very creative. Yeah. Was it always obvious that you were going to be a performer?
Actually, that was not my intention, or for sure I can assure you that was not my mom's intention. She never wanted me to. She didn't wish for me to go into the show business and singing and music, because she actually had a lot of offers herself, but rejected them all. Because
she's a singer.
She has a beautiful voice. Yeah, she's actually more of a singer than I could ever be.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
true.
Yet she was not enthusiastic.
Never interested in her life. She just sang for herself. She still does when she's alone, to herself. She has a beautiful voice, yeah.
So was she discouraging? Would she go so far as to say,
actually, she wasn't discouraging.
Pick something else?
Yeah, she said, I remember the first sign I showed into liking music was that, this might surprise you, I was in love with playing violin. I really wanted to be a violinist when I was 11 years old. I can remember for sure. So I told my parents that I love to go to violin. I want to go to music school. Uh-huh. And it was the right time, believe me. It was the perfect time. But my mom insisted that I continue my education in engineering or science and stuff, and do music on the side.
Right.
I always believe that never works. I mean, if you want to pursue a dream, you have to put your 100%.
Sometimes it works, but it leads to a closeted, unhappy life, because as an engineer or whatever.
I mean, yeah, maybe for some.
Yeah. So what was the turning point? First of all, I mean, why were you confident you could do this, in the sense that you're living in a country where there's a ban on women singing to mixed crowds, not being able to record? How is it that you believed you could have a career in music?
Well, I'm a Pisces. That means Esfandi. And if you know Pisces people...
I don't. Tell me what that means. You're a Pisces.
I
know it's a fish or something.
Yeah. Their head is always in the cloud. They're always dreaming. They're always in the verge of it's pretty dangerous as well. Because there comes a time that you don't know whether you're in the reality or the dream. They live with their dreams. So I always had big dreams for myself. I always pictured myself in the middle of the action. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think I was I really wanted to become an actress. I mean, goofing around. I mean,
a violin playing actress.
That was actually before the violin, I guess. That was actually before.
You're really a Pisces. You had all kinds of heads in the clouds. Yeah,
I am. And so you asked whatever happened that the music.
What would have been the turning point where you? I mean, I know you were in. I think you were in university by the time you released your first recording, right?
There were a couple of my classmates, not classmates, university mates that back then they were rappers. A couple of them. So we were hanging out, being friends.
Saucy is one of them, right? Was that when you were doing the underground music with them?
Yeah, Alishmas, Ali Pishtas, they were like, we were all a gang. I always kept on saying that I have a good voice. My mom says so, my father says so, and they never believed me until the time that I sang for them.
Wait a minute, you happened to be hanging out with Saucy Khan? Like you guys were
we
just...
were all like university mates, not just us. I mean, like we were a big group, always like hanging out.
It seems so random to me that you happen to be friends with the other guys who became very famous. I mean,
well, back then none of us were. I mean, like we were just kids.
So that was sort of I've actually heard a recording that you're on with those guys, and it's that's super underground, right? I mean,
it is. That's super unprofessional.
No, it sounds good, but I mean, that wasn't like you could do that publicly anywhere.
That's actually why I chose the name Satin, and I like to cover for the fact that I was Farnaz Maleki, and I mean, I don't really think that my parents even knew for some time. Yeah, I was hiding it from them as well.
Let's get into this. I was going to say, I mean, a
lot of truth coming out today.
Good.
I don't think I've ever told anybody these. Yeah,
you're a Pisces, so it explains everything for some reason, without wearing makeup. Yeah. You're this thing with your name, and forgive me because I know this is something that your fans will know the story of, but just for the people who are being introduced to you, your name is Farnaz Maleki.
Yeah.
But you have two names because you also have Satin.
Yes.
So when was the moment that you started to become Satin?
Actually, from the first moment, I was Satin. The fact that I used my own name, my Farnaz Maleki name, was not my choice. It was because of the project of Shahrzad. And of course, we could not use the name Satin because it was like illegal, underground, and they would like...
The name was illegal?
Actually, in Iran, having an artistic name is not acceptable.
Really?
Like
this is a new level of suppression I'd never heard of. You can't...
We don't have a Cher, we don't have a Madonna, we don't have a Satin, no.
Because why?
Because of Islam, I guess. I don't know.
What in Islam says you can't be Satin?
I absolutely have no idea. You should ask the bigger guys, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just like too European culture that they always try to punch down and stuff. Yeah. I suggest not to get into those stuff because there are many things that I could tell you that will,
Why? No, I'm happy to get into that.
Make you so surprised.
I want to know. I mean,
no, I'm just saying. I mean, like there are many sad stories about they're like so. Forgive me for saying this word. So stupid that you just cannot find any logical reason behind them.
What comes to your mind when you're saying that? For example,
I mean, all of these things, all of this prohibitions, and all of the bans, all of the don'ts that are all under the name of our regime. I mean, I don't know.
So when you're
that's why I escaped it.
Right. Well, let's get to that. But so when you're, and everyone who's listening would understand why you did that. But so when you start recording and performing, I mean, or playing with your university mates and your gang, that you start calling yourself Satin. Yeah. And your parents still know you as Farnaz.
Yeah.
And they don't know Satin is you?
No, it wasn't like that. It was just like, I avoided telling them. But it was just
they don't even know there's a Satin.
I mean, I think that was going on for a very short time. I mean, eventually I told them. And I wish I hadn't.
Why is that?
Because I was a kid back then, and my mom was so overprotective of me. Yeah. And so I actually kind of understand her now that I'm older. she was trying to protect me, you know. She was trying to protect me from like getting harmed. I mean, I was very lucky that I was never arrested for like being a singer.
How is that possible? I was thinking about you and
I
thinking,
was pretty careful, really careful. I mean, the fact that I never revealed my face, no picture was published from me anywhere, was pretty.
By the way, you end up for a number of years legally performing some music.
Not
but-
recording.
Well, did you record as a backup singer or no? Not
Just
even?
a backup
Okay, just a
singer,
backup
yeah,
singer.
yeah.
So you on the one hand, so you're really walking the line where you were, and that was Farnaz,
I was
right?
exactly on the edge of the ice. Yeah.
How is it that none of these, I don't even know who the committee is or
Yeah.
whatever, that none of them figured this out? That
They did figure out by the time of Shahrzad, and because the funny thing is that I stopped being Satin for nearly 8 years and kept on working as an English teacher. Just moved on with my life. I just, you know, I gave it up like millions of times, but that time was the most serious time that it was just like I was getting nowhere and I didn't have what I wanted. And also on the side, things were a little bit dangerous. Like it was very insecure for me to continue pursuing my dreams. So I had to put a stop to it.
Meaning you literally started to say, you know what?
That's it. I'm
This
never
is
gonna.
not for me because I live in
Yes.
this place and I can't do this, right?
I couldn't until I was living. I mean, as long as I was living in
Yeah.
Iran, I couldn't.
I fucking hate that so much. No, I really hate it. I really hate that people, talented people. I mean, think about you're not wrong that you're an exception.
Yeah.
You were able to come out and you were able
I
to
was.
pursue things. And you think about the thousands, hundreds of thousands
Yeah.
who have had to give up. And think about all the talent we have never heard.
Yeah.
I just hate it so much.
Yeah, it's
I hate
pretty
it so much.
sad. I mean, I hope someday that changes, and I hope I'll be there to witness it, no matter when, no matter how old I get. But I hope someday I see more of my people, more of the young generations that, could pursue their dreams. I mean, no human being should be living like this. No person should live like this.
Let me come back to Change in Iran. But when you say for a few years you gave it up, so then Shahrzad comes. First of all, how did Shahrzad happen? I mean, this song, Chekardi.
Everything was offered. I mean, from day one, I didn't fight. I'm not saying I'm not fight for it. I didn't fight for it. I mean, like I didn't insist on being a singer. I didn't insist on being like Shahrzad singer or whatever. Opportunities somehow represent themselves. I was very lucky, very, very lucky. I mean, each time that I think about every big happenings in my life, they were just like a lucky break.
Somebody called you and said
They
hey,
were looking for female voice, female vocalist for the teaser, for the trailer or teaser of the third season of Shahrzad. That was in the song of Jom'e with the lead singer Mohsen Chavoshi. They wanted a back vocal singer or somebody, a vocalist. So they were searching, and a lot of people knew me. A lot of people knew me because I was pretty, as we say it in Farsi, gave pishuni safid, I was pretty recognized, like, by the time that
even though you had stopped doing a lot.
Even though I wasn't working, a lot of people knew me. They remembered me. And so, one person introduced to another until they called me and said that, there's this project for Shahrzad. And the funny thing is that that time I hadn't watched Shahrzad, not one episode. But after that, I got interested and watched it. So, that's how.
Shahrzad was huge.
It was.
Not just in Iran, but I mean, my mother was obsessed with it.
Yeah.
I end up watching it. We've had a couple of people associated with it on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So how much did that change your life, being the recognized singer from these songs associated with Shahrzad?
It changed a lot of stuff. Actually, that was the turning point, the real turning point of my career. Because, you know, there came a time that I had to choose. I had two choices: to stay and work in the environment that they always want to shut me up and stop me from, you know, ever going further, or to leave all behind, my family, my friends, my country, everything. I mean, the place that I practically grew up in, for pursuing my dreams and like being the person that I actually want to be and deserve to be. I owe that to myself, you know.
What was the moment where you knew that
much.
you were going to do that led to the move to Turkey?
A week before I moved.
Wow.
Yeah, actually I was thinking about it for my whole life, but the moment that I took the leap was exactly a week before I moved. I specifically remember I was in my bedroom, so I got my ticket online, came out of the room and said, "Mom, Dad, I'm leaving next week." And they were like, "What?" I said, "I mean, we've been talking about it before, but you know, suddenly it got too serious."
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you have a plan? Did you have
We did. I mean, like some basic plans.
Did you have a place that, I mean, you knew where you were going to stay and everything?
Yeah,
Or?
I knew where I was going. I didn't know what was coming upon my life. I mean, like, I even thought that, okay, yeah, for a couple of months, let's start. I'm gonna go and come, Mom. Don't worry. Don't miss me. I'll be back. But I never returned, because you know, one
Had you
thing
ever left
happened.
Iran before to go on holiday or something, or?
Sure, yeah,
Okay.
to countries and you know, around Iran.
But you, I mean,
For living, no.
for living, no.
No.
And what? How was the first? I don't know, the first year for you outside of
Pretty
Iran?
confusing, because I didn't speak the language of like
Turkish
language. I didn't know anything, but it was the best experience I ever had. I mean, that time needed to happen in my life to, you know, make me the person that I am today. I mean, I had never lived alone. I had that experience. I had never lived in another country that I didn't know their language, and I had that experience as well. And all of them made me much stronger for, you know, the bigger things that were waiting for me. Because, you know, now I'm facing a lot of bigger challenges in my career.
There's a big concert you end up doing in Istanbul. You can watch it on YouTube. It's got a gazillion views. When I watch that, I think about you, and I think there's almost a bit of a sense of catharsis. Like it's a great concert. You're obviously in your element, and the crowd's going crazy. But I almost feel like it's like the end of a movie where, you know, she's free and she's being the person she always wanted to be up there on stage. Was there an element of that in you when you did that show in Istanbul?
Finally, I was going on stage. Finally, I was like free to put all of my dreams and thoughts into action. And so how I felt was free, as you said. How I felt was, well, like mostly overwhelmed, but greatly like free and happy and like excited that I'm finally gonna show my true quality. I'm finally gonna show people what I'm capable of. And so, did I answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, that's the feeling I had. That
Yes.
I'm watching someone perform a show, but I'm also watching someone who is soaring, like a, I don't know what, the
But there were
butterfly.
a lot of stuff that I wanted to happen that unfortunately we couldn't make them happen. I mean, like, we had some shortage of time mostly, and support that we had to have. I mean, I'm still waiting for the great show. I mean,
What does that mean?
I've still hadn't had the great show that is in my head, and someday I'm gonna do it.
Well, that's okay. I
Yeah.
mean, that's actually keeps you hungry. You're
Yeah.
looking for the great show. What does the great show look and sound like?
Well, I guess we have to
We have
wait
to find
and
out.
see. Yeah.
Speaking of the way things sound, by the way, you moved away from the microphone.
I'm so
again.
sorry. Yes.
Come on.
sorry.
There we go. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
If somebody hears one song of yours or knows only one song of yours,
Okay.
I fear that they don't get everything that you're all about because, for example, the Chekardi from the Shahrzad series, the vocals you're doing there are completely, are not necessarily what we would think of as the upbeat pop vocalists, which is different from you have a lot of different sounds and faces to what you do. Is that hard for you to kind of navigate the fact that people will undoubtedly try and pigeonhole you as one thing, and yet you seem to have, I mean, even if your voice isn't as good as your mom's, it's good enough to do a number of different styles.
Yeah, actually, that's been one of the things that I've been struggling with, because I want to do something, but I'm doing another. I'm still not doing what I want to do, because I still hadn't had the opportunity. I still hadn't had the lucky break that I'm still waiting for. But to answer your question, I do have a lot of abilities. Some of them I still haven't shown. But whether or not I'm good at this or that I think that is my audience judgment. I can't really forcibly say that I'm good at this or that. I try my best. I always challenge myself. I guess that's one of the reasons that I can do more than like one or two things, because I hear a song, for example, from Beyonce or like Christina Aguilera or all the great singers, and I feel like I have to be able to like imitate that. I have to be able to do that technique. And so, it goes on my nerves. I mean, like, I practice and practice and practice. I think about it. I dream about it. I do it when I'm eating. I do it when I'm sleeping. You have no idea how many times I've practiced while I was sleeping. Believe me. Subconsciously, I was
So somebody's near
working.
you and says, by the way, you were singing while you were asleep? Or
Actually, I mean, no, I didn't have that. I'm pretty aware of my dreams. I mean, like most of the time.
Wow.
So yeah, no, that's personal.
But why do you have to sound like Beyonce or Christina? I mean, why don't
not
you
sound like them to do the technique that they're doing? I mean, like, do all the harmonies or the I don't know, the vibrations,
the trills, the Mariah, all of that?
Yeah.
But let me just try this out on you. I mean, I don't want to suggest that you're putting yourself in a cage, even though there's no cage anymore. But I mean, because you're here in Canada now. I mean,
Yeah.
when you say, I wish I could do what I really want to do.
Yeah.
Why don't you just do what you want to do?
Well, I'm still waiting for the opportunity, because, doing what you want to do requires, I mean, you can do it forever just doing it and getting nowhere. But
Why do you think what you want to do, whether it's the sad songs or whatever, is gonna get you nowhere? I mean, people love you. You got a fan base. You're talented. I mean,
I am doing what I'm best at. I am doing what I want to do. But there is a thing called, a door of opportunities, and until the time that that door opens, I mean, I'm still struggling like many others in my country or other countries of other generations and other, you know, nationalities. Not necessarily speaking about Iranians. I'm still struggling in order to, you know, get to the place that I wanted. And, you know, you get a little bit up. There are ups and downs. Your spirit gets ups and downs. I got you.
Yeah, I get it for sure. Let me ask you about a particular song. I mean, you had this massive hit with the song Aziz June. Tell me about choosing to do that piece.
That's actually the song that I grew up with. I told you my mom has a beautiful voice. Yes. That was one of the songs that she always used to sing in our, you know, family gatherings. And it always lightened the mood of everybody whenever she started singing it. And so, yeah, I practically grew up with it. So one day, you know, my head is like a recording device, especially for melodies. I mean, I don't necessarily remember the words, maybe one or two, but like the melody, I never forget that.
You retain, wow.
Yeah. So I was just like telling my manager that, yeah, there's a song that I grew up with. My mom used to sing it. It's like that. It's like this. It's Mahali. It's like Khorasani, if I'm not mistaken. He said, wow, okay, so sing it. And let me tell you, I should mention that by that time, I hadn't sung any happy, like, shisha hash music. It was kind of an insult to me if you were to say that. So anywho, like, I started like singing it on the phone. I said, wow, there is a smell of hit in it. Yeah, like, let's produce it, let's do it. I said, I don't know, I'm not sure if this song belongs to anybody. I have to do a little bit of, you know, research to see if it doesn't belong.
Right? It's a traditional.
It doesn't. It's a folk song.
Yeah, it's a folk song. Yeah.
That's a beauty
public
of the
domain,
folk song.
they say. Yeah,
it is. I mean, the lyric itself is the combination of many different lyrics. Like, some part of it is from Baba Tahir, if I'm not mistaken, and some others are like local. I don't know.
Satin, it's so interesting when you say that song is inspired by your mom singing it when you were a kid, because when earlier in the interview, when you were saying your mom wasn't that enthusiastic about you going into music, and in fact suppressed her own talents to not go into music, I was thinking about this. I was thinking about Aziz June and 21 million views and all of that, and thinking, how does she feel about this now?
Well,
I mean, she's got to be proud of you.
You know, these days, from the moment that I left Iran, she was the happiest for me. I mean, she encouraged me the most. Her only problem was because I was living in Iran back then. She is one of my greatest fans. Yeah.
That's a nice story.
Yeah.
So there's no, I mean, do you ever have a moment where you go, you know, if I'd listened to you, I'd be an English teacher right now.
I mean, like, many times. I tease her with that. She says, no, I just always had the best interest in my heart for you. And, you know, I always tease her about that, yeah.
Sometimes you have to break out of the mold of your parents.
Yeah.
When you talk about courage, the courage gave you to put yourself out there. It's funny you should say that, because to me you seem very comfortable as a performer, and videos are a big part of what you do. Like your song Shab Bekhair from last year has this fun video of you dancing in it. You seem very comfortable on camera.
Yeah.
Are you?
I am surprised. I surprised myself with that. I never knew I could be this comfortable in front of a camera, or, you know, yeah, I guess I am. I don't know.
So the courage isn't about performing. What is the courage part? What is the part that you're insecure about, or that you were insecure about?
Well, I'm always in over my head, thinking about lots of stuff. And being a woman, I can tell you that, you know, multitasking is one of the things that we always do. But the most thing on the stage, if you mean, I'm thinking about many things. I mean, like, I'm thinking about the musicians. whether the sound is good on the stage or in between the crowd. I'm thinking about my performance. I'm thinking about, performing good. I mean, like getting out of tune or whatever. At the same time, I'm thinking about entertaining people. So I have to move from side to side. At the same time, I have to think about not losing my breath because I'm walking a lot from some side to side. At the same time, I have to think about whether my dress is in the right place. I don't know whether, I have to be careful not to fall down because I'm wearing heels. And many others.
I don't know if you know this, but you're a Pisces. You always have your head in the clouds.
Yes.
And you have a number of different outfits in the Istanbul shows.
That has actually helped me a lot.
How has that helped you?
Because I don't know if it's a Pisces thing or not, but I've always somehow had enough self-courage that I needed. Whenever I'm challenged, I go through the problem face first.
Yeah, well, you've done that. I mean, it's what does it mean to be a Radio Javan exclusive artist? I think that on the one hand, I can imagine there's lots of Iranian artists, especially who would dream to have that, be in that position, to have that backing of Radio Javan. On the other hand, I think, is it limiting at all? Does that mean that there's things you can't do if you're the exclusive domain of Radio Javan?
Not really, no. Thank God we don't have any restriction in like doing stuff or like concerts and stuff. No, not at all. They're only like, being an exclusive singer of a music company, means that they have rights on your songs. I mean, like practically your song belongs to them. I mean, it's a part of, for example, Radio Javan production. Right. It means that.
It's basically like being signed to a major label.
Yeah, exactly.
Except they've also got a radio, TV element to what.
Well, Radio Javan has that. They offer a lot of stuff to their exclusive singers. I mean, like free podcasts. Free broadcasts on the channel, the Radio Javan channel on the satellite, and the fact that they, expand the level of like. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know. They broadcast your song. They
promote your
video. They promote you
and
fully.
Distribute it around the world.
Fully, yes, 100%. I mean, in return, you like make songs for them.
So when you now, how much is it like a major label where, if you were signed to Warner Brothers to a certain extent. It's great because you're signed to Warner Brothers because you get some cash and, you've got a big promotion company behind you. But on the other hand, for a lot of artists, it'll be like you'll bring some songs and some executive at Warner Brothers will say, I don't know about this one. Maybe try this. We'd like you to sing this song. Is it like that?
Well, it is like that. But, then again, me and my agent, which is one of the Radio Javan employers, we have the same taste, the same, forward thinking. I've never had that problem of representing a song and like facing a rejection. Thank God that has never happened.
What do you feel like is your path from here? I mean, I know that we talked about the door of opportunity and you've got these shows coming up in Canada in the immediate. Yeah. But one of the things I was curious about is that you love these English performers. You speak English perfectly. You're living in Canada. I mean, do you feel like you'll stay in Persian music, or do you have a desire to also perform and sing in English?
Well, that's a funny thing you mentioned. That's actually my big dream. Yeah, to enter the English community if it would ever be possible.
Well, why wouldn't it be possible?
Because, again, maybe, we need to sign like a contract with like a label or something.
You're going to have a lot of competition, that's for sure.
And
suddenly you're competing with the world.
And the fact that I'm not 18 years old anymore, I mean, like I don't have that much time left. So, the big dream, I think I should put a pin on it. But there could be like one or two things that we could do from now on. I don't know. I mean, fingers crossed. I wish for a day that the door of opportunity opens, but if it does, I have big plans and big things in my head, and actually, do a little bit of English songwriting as well. Not so great, but I'm still, trying to learn. That is the big dream, but I don't think I'm gonna say goodbye from the Persian community, because I have too many fans.
No,
and
yes,
it's cruel
you wouldn't want
to
to give it up.
them.
No.
Yeah, it's cruel to them.
Maybe there's a way of doing both somehow.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
And I hope you don't really think age is a factor, because you look very young.
Thank you so much. You're so
when
kind.
you're not at IKEA.
I'm not at
And,
IKEA.
I mean, IKEA, you look Asian without all the...
I'm not myself. I'm a boy.
I mean, it's your story, not mine.
That happened once. Just
Well,
once.
so you learned your lesson. Full makeup next time you
Full
go furniture
makeup.
shopping.
Yeah.
A final question to you. I mean, because I know that you have a big audience inside Iran, and even some of the people listening to us right now, a big portion of our audience are inside Iran. You said earlier, I hope one day while I'm alive or around, there'll be change in Iran. I think a lot of people were hoping it'll come a lot sooner than that, especially throughout the fall. How do you feel about the prospects of change in Iran? And were it to happen sooner rather than later, do you see yourself returning there?
I mean, being a Pisces, I do. Yeah. Actually, a couple of months ago, we were seriously saying, goofing around, but saying that what if next year this time I'm having all around Iran tour. And the thought of that both made me happy and a little bit overwhelmed, because I have a fear of returning. I mean, I didn't have a good time back there. I mean, I'm so heartbroken to admit that my home country was the land that destroyed all my dreams. That is not an easy thing to admit, but it's the truth. But I guess this time would be different if and when I ever go back. But I'm hoping. I mean, I can only hope that this truly happens, because revolution needs a big force, and it doesn't come up easily. I mean, there are too many people. I mean, our country smells like blood, I mean, too many people have died. Too many people have been killed. And when you think about it, whether or not it's worth it, I don't know. I mean, I hope it will happen, but without any more blood being spilled.
It's really a great pleasure to get to have you here in the studio.
The pleasure is mine.
And to do this. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you so much, because I for some minutes I forgot that I was being interviewed and thought that I was speaking to a good friend of mine. So thank you so much for being great, for being you, and for your great show.
That's the nicest thing you could say. I appreciate that. Thank you for your candor, for opening up. Now please go write some sad songs.
Okay.
Go
I actually have
go
one.
be extremely sad.
I
so
actually
you're
have
happy.
one. I actually have one that I'm working on it, so hopefully its name is Alude. So whenever it gets published, you know which one it is.
Thank you, Satin John. Again, if you're listening to us in Toronto or in Ottawa or in Montreal within the next few weeks, you can see Satin perform live, and we'll put links to her performances and to her site from ours. Just check it wherever you're listening to us on right now. Just go down to the description. You'll find it there. Thanks again.
Thank you so much.